The massive ship appeared without warning. One moment, Earth's skies were clear. The next, a vessel larger than Manhattan cast its shadow over the United Nations headquarters in New York. The world stopped breathing. Major Jack Stone watched the newsfeed from his office at Fort Bragg. His coffee grew cold, forgotten on his desk as he studied the smooth, dark surface of the alien craft. 20 years in Special Forces had taught him to spot threats, and everything about this ship screamed danger. "Sir," his assistant called from the doorway. "They're broadcasting worldwide." The alien message was simple and terrifying. They called themselves the Collectors, and they had come to gather Earth's finest warriors. 100 of humanity's best fighters were to be handed over within 7 days. The alternative was planetary destruction. "They're lying," Stone muttered, watching the holographic message repeat on every screen. The alien spokesman, tall and wrapped in gleaming armor, spoke perfect English. Too perfect. Something wasn't right. The UN Security Council gathered within hours. Representatives from every major military power brought their lists of candidates. Some suggested sending criminals. Others volunteered their elite forces. Russia offered their best special operations teams. China proposed their champion martial artists. The United States presented files on their most decorated soldiers. Stone knew he would volunteer before the call came. His commanding officer didn't look surprised when he stepped forward. "You know it's probably a one-way trip, Jack," the general said, looking older than his years. "Better me than someone with a family, sir." Stone's words carried the weight of his empty apartment and the photos of fallen comrades on his walls. The selection process moved quickly. Too quickly, Stone thought. The Collectors provided crystal-clear criteria, fighters from any background, but they had to be the best. Age and gender didn't matter. Experience did. Victory records mattered most. They came from everywhere. A female boxing champion from Ireland, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu master, a Thai special forces sniper, a Canadian wilderness survival expert, military and civilian, young and old, all of them warriors in their own right. Stone watched them arrive at the temporary base in Geneva. He saw the look in their eyes. Not fear, but determination. These were people who understood sacrifice. They knew the stakes. The base psychologist, Dr. Webb, approached him on the third day. "They're not telling us everything," she said quietly, showing him her tablet. "Look at these patterns. The Collectors are too interested in our genetic data." Stone had noticed other things too. The way the alien observers studied their training sessions, how they collected blood samples under the guise of medical checks, the strange questions about family histories and combat lineages. On the 6th day, as the 100 warriors prepared for departure, Stone gathered them in the main hall. "Whatever happens up there," he said, his voice carrying to every corner, "remember, we're not just fighters. We're humanity's first line of defense. Keep your eyes open. Trust your instincts." The massive alien shuttle landed the next morning. As they walked up the ramp, Stone felt the weight of Earth's hopes on his shoulders. Behind him, 99 of the planet's finest warriors marched in silence. Above, the Collector ship waited like a dark promise. Dr. Webb's last words echoed in his mind. "No species fights harder than one backed into a corner." And that's exactly what we are, Earth's cornered animals. The shuttle door closed with a final hiss. As they lifted off, Stone caught a last glimpse of Earth through a viewport. The blue planet grew smaller, more precious with each passing second. He made a silent vow. Whatever the Collectors' true purpose was, they would learn why humanity's warriors were feared across battlefields for thousands of years. They would learn, or they would fall. The journey to the Collectors' main vessel took 3 days. 3 days of watching Earth shrink until it became just another star in the endless black of space. Major Stone used this time to study their captors and organize the warriors into small teams. "They're watching us," whispered Captain Mark Wells, a former Navy SEAL, as they gathered in the shuttle's exercise area. "Every move, every word." Stone nodded. He had noticed the small drones that followed them everywhere, disguised as floating lights. The collectors called them health monitors, but their sensors seemed more interested in recording combat movements than vital signs. On the fourth day, they docked with the main ship. The sight took their breath away. The vessel was a floating city, stretching for miles in every direction. But something felt wrong about it. The halls were too wide, the ceilings too high, as if built for creatures much larger than humans. "Welcome to the Grand Arena," announced their guide, a tall collector named First Observer. Its armor shifted colors as it moved, like oil on water. "You will be joining warriors from across the galaxy in glorious combat." The human fighters were led to their quarters, a massive section that could have housed thousands. Stone realized with growing unease that they were the only occupants. "Where are the other Earth warriors?" Laura Hayes, the Irish boxing champion, asked during their first meal. "The ones from before." The First Observer's answer came too quickly, too smoothly. "They achieved such glory that they chose to remain in our advanced training facilities." That night, Stone couldn't sleep. He paced the observation deck, watching distant stars. A small red light caught his attention. A maintenance drone, its panel slightly open. 20 years of special ops training kicked in. He walked past it casually, palmed a small tool from his pocket, and accidentally dropped it near the drone. As he bent to retrieve it, his fingers moved quickly. The drone's memory chip slid free. Hours later, in his quarters, the chip's contents confirmed his worst fears. Combat records, genetic data, breeding programs. The truth was worse than they had imagined. The arena wasn't just for entertainment, it was a laboratory. The collectors were harvesting the strongest genetic traits from every species they encountered. Stone gathered his most trusted teammates in the water recycling room, the only place without surveillance. "No one's ever gone home," he told them, showing the data. "They keep the best fighters for breeding, eliminate the rest, and move on to the next planet. We need to warn Earth." "Well said," his face grim. "Already working on it." Stone revealed his discovery. The maintenance drones used quantum communication to sync with their network. With the right modifications, they could piggyback messages to Earth through this system. The next morning, the real training began. The arena was massive, a dome of energy fields and shifting terrain. Their first matches were against robotic opponents. Tests, the collectors said, to gauge their abilities. Stone watched his fellow warriors fight. They were good, too good. With each victory, he saw the collectors' interest grow. Their genetic scanning became more frequent, more intense. "Keep winning," he told his people, but not too impressively. "Stay alive, stay alert. Help is coming." Unknown to the collectors, every maintenance drone the humans accidentally damaged now carried hidden messages. Back on Earth, military engineers worked day and night, decoding the quantum signals, learning the terrible truth about their benevolent visitors. The deception cut both ways. While the collectors studied humanity's warriors, humanity prepared for war. In hidden bases across Earth, engineers reverse-engineered every piece of alien technology they could salvage. The human fighters weren't just prisoners. They were humanity's first infiltration unit. Stone smiled as he prepared for his next match. The collectors thought they were observing simple combat specimens. They would learn too late that they had invited wolves into their flock. The best warriors never returned home because they were never meant to. They were the first wave of Earth's vengeance. The real fights began 1 month after their arrival. Stone watched from the warriors' observation deck as Laura Hayes faced her first living opponent, a 6-armed fighter from a distant world. The alien was fast, but Hayes was faster. She moved like water, dodging the multiple limbs, landing precise strikes until her opponent fell. "Excellent performance," the First Observer said, its armor rippling with excitement. "Your species shows great promise." Stone noticed how they took Hayes away for an extra-long medical check after her victory. She returned hours later, pale but alert. "They're collecting more than blood samples," she whispered during their next hidden meeting. "They're harvesting eggs." The news spread quietly through the human ranks. Female fighters began reporting similar experiences. Male champions disappeared for hours after victories for specialized testing. The collectors' breeding program was moving faster than they had feared. But humanity wasn't their only target. During his third match, Stone faced a warrior from the Spiral Arm Worlds, a humanoid with metallic skin. The fight was brutal, staged in an arena zone that simulated the surface of a volcanic planet. As they grappled in the heat, Stone's opponent slipped him a message, carved into a piece of his own metallic skin. "We resist. Others wait. Find us." The network grew from there. Stone and his team discovered that the arena complex housed fighters from 17 different species. All had been collected. None had ever returned home. But they had built something in secret, an underground resistance that spanned the facility. "They call themselves the Unbroken," Wells reported after meeting with a group of veteran gladiators. "They've been gathering intelligence for years. The collectors have breeding facilities on 3 different worlds. They're building an army." Stone's next match revealed why. His opponent was different. A hybrid warrior, combining traits from multiple species. It was stronger than any natural being, faster than should be possible. Stone barely survived, winning only through decades of combat experience and a lucky strike. "Now you understand," said his opponent before the medical drones arrived. "They want to create perfect soldiers. We are just the raw materials." The human fighters adapted their strategy. They continued to win matches but stayed away from the top rankings that would mark them for immediate genetic processing. Instead, they focused on building their network. Each maintenance drone they hacked became a node in their communication web. Every secret meeting with other species added to their knowledge of the collector's weaknesses. Hayes discovered the first major flaw in the collector's security. "Their neural networks," she explained during a hidden meeting. "They're designed to control their hybrid soldiers. But the system has gaps, places where signals can slip through." Stone used this information to establish direct communication with Earth. The quantum messages became clearer, more detailed. Earth's scientists learned about the collector's technology. Their military leaders began to understand the true scale of the threat. But the most valuable discovery came from an unexpected source. A dying arena champion from the Deep Space Leagues passed Stone a crystal data core. It contained coordinates, the location of the collector's homeworld. "They think us simple warriors," Stone told his people as they gathered in secret. "They see us as breeding stock for their perfect army." But they forgot something important. He looked around at the determined faces of Earth's finest fighters. A warrior's greatest weapon isn't their strength, it's their mind. The resistance was growing stronger. The network expanded daily. And in the depths of space, Earth's first stealth ships were taking shape, built with stolen collector technology. The hunters didn't realize they had caught something far more dangerous than simple prey. They had captured the seeds of their own destruction. Back on Earth, Commander Thomas Reed stood in the hidden shipyard, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. The massive cavern, carved into the ocean floor, housed humanity's secret weapon, the Vengeance Fleet. 6 months of reverse engineering collector technology had produced something unprecedented. "The quantum drive is stable," Dr. Anna Webb reported, her tablet displaying streams of data. She'd been transferred from the Geneva facility to lead the engineering team. "We can match their faster-than-light travel capabilities." Reed touched the hull of the nearest ship. It looked nothing like traditional Earth vessels. The surface rippled like liquid metal, copying the collector's adaptive armor technology. But inside, these ships held something the aliens had never expected: human ingenuity combined with their own stolen tech. In orbit above Mars, hidden from the collector's regular patrols, more ships took shape. Each one was built using the secrets learned from the Arena Warriors' transmissions. Stone's coded messages had given them everything: shield frequencies, weapon specifications, and most importantly, the collector's critical weaknesses. Their arrogance is their biggest flaw, Reed told the United Earth Defense Council. They never imagined we could understand their technology, let alone improve it. The improvements were significant. Earth scientists had taken the collector's designs and made them deadlier. The neural control systems meant for slave warriors had been converted into advanced battle networks. The genetic enhancement chambers were repurposed into medical bays that could heal wounded soldiers in minutes. Meanwhile, in the arena, Stone's fighters continued their careful dance of controlled performance. They won enough to stay valuable, but never so impressively that they'd be taken for immediate genetic processing. Each victory bought more time for Earth's preparation. The breeding facilities are on these 3 worlds, Stone's latest transmission showed. The encrypted data included defense patterns, patrol schedules, and guard rotations. But their homeworld is the key. That's where they keep their central control systems. Reed studied the battle plans late into the night. The Collector's empire was vast but concentrated. They relied too heavily on their hybrid soldiers, on central control, on the absolute belief in their own superiority. They had never faced a species that could fight back on equal terms. In training facilities around the world, human pilots learned to handle the new ships. Special forces teams practiced with reversed engineered weapons. Scientists perfected countermeasures against the Collector's biological weapons. We found something interesting in their genetic database, Dr. Webb told Reed during a late-night briefing. Their hybrid soldiers have a flaw. The same neural networks that control them could be turned against them. One precise signal could shut down their entire army. The pieces were falling into place. Earth's fleet grew stronger each day, hidden in the shadows of the solar system. The arena warriors continued feeding intelligence through their secret network. The other enslaved species, inspired by human resistance, began preparing for rebellion. Operation Nemesis is ready, Reed announced to the Council. 300 ships, crewed by Earth's finest, waited for the signal. The plan was complex, but the goal was simple: hit the Collectors everywhere at once. Free the breeding worlds, destroy their hybrid armies, and strike at their homeworld before they could react. Stone's final message was brief. We're ready. The other species will rise with us. The Collectors won't know what hit them. Reed sent the countdown to all fleet commanders. In 72 hours, humanity would show the galaxy why you should never steal warriors from Earth. The Collectors thought they were creating the perfect army. Instead, they had armed their own executioners. The time for hiding was over. The time for vengeance had begun. The signal came during the arena's largest tournament. Stone stood in the preparation chamber, watching the timer on his modified health monitor count down. Around him, 100 human warriors readied themselves for what would be their final performance. 3 minutes, Hayes whispered, checking her fighting wraps. Every piece of their equipment had been modified over months of careful preparation. What looked like simple hand wraps contained enough concentrated explosives to breach the arena's shield generators. The first observer appeared on the main view screen, its armor glowing with excitement. Today, we celebrate the greatest gathering of warriors in arena history. All species will demonstrate their worth. Stone smiled grimly. They would demonstrate something, all right, but not what the Collectors expected. 1 minute, Wells reported. Through their secret network, they could feel the other species getting ready. The metallic-skinned warriors had smuggled weapons into every sector. The crystalline beings from the outer rim had weakened key structural points. Even the hybrid soldiers, supposedly loyal to their Collector masters, had been secretly compromised by resistance hackers. The countdown reached 0. Stone stepped into the arena alongside warriors from 17 different species. Above them, the Collectors watched from their elevated platforms, eager to see their prizes fight. The first observer raised its arms to begin the ceremony. That's when everything changed. Hayes struck first, her explosive wraps detonating against the main shield generator. The protective barrier around the arena flickered and died. Wells and his team breached the secondary barriers, while Stone led the charge toward the Collector observation posts. The humans have gone mad. the first observer shouted, but its words were cut short as warriors from every species launched their attacks. The carefully planned uprising had begun. In the ship's lower levels, the hybrid soldiers received their neural commands, but not from their masters. Dr. Webb's modified signal, transmitted through the resistance network, turned them against their creators. The Collector's perfect army became their worst nightmare. Stone fought his way to the main control center, backed by warriors he'd trained with for months. The metallic-skinned fighter who'd first contacted him fought at his side, their combined strength overwhelming the Collector guards. The breeding facilities are responding, Hayes called through their comm network. Similar uprisings had begun on all three worlds where captured warriors were held. The Collector's entire empire was under attack from within. But the true surprise was yet to come. The first observer, cornered in its command center, laughed at Stone. "You primitives think this matters. Our fleet will crush any resistance." "Look outside," Stone replied. Through the massive viewing windows, space itself seemed to ripple. Earth's fleet, led by Commander Reed, emerged from quantum space. 300 ships, built with stolen and improved Collector technology, surrounded the arena vessel. Impossible. The first observer's armor changed to a pale, fearful color. "You couldn't have mastered our technology so quickly." "You made 3 mistakes," Stone said, watching more ships appear. "You stole Earth's warriors. You thought we were primitive. And worst of all, you gave us time to learn." The battle that followed would be remembered across the galaxy for generations. Earth's fleet, coordinating with the freed warriors and rebel hybrid soldiers, struck at the heart of the Collector's power. Their ships, combining human tactical brilliance with advanced alien technology, tore through the surprised Collector defenses. Stone stood on the captured bridge, watching the Collector fleet fall into chaos. Earth's signal was broadcasting to every corner of their empire. "To all enslaved species, rise up. Today is the day of freedom." The Collectors had spent centuries gathering the greatest warriors in the galaxy. Now those warriors were coming home, not as slaves, but as conquerors. The Collector's homeworld hung in space like a dark jewel, surrounded by rings of defensive platforms. Commander Reed's flagship, the Nemesis, led Earth's fleet toward their final target. Behind them, ships from 17 liberated species followed, their combined force darkening the stars. They never built proper planetary defenses, Stone observed from the bridge. After capturing the arena vessel, he and his warriors had joined the main fleet. They never thought anyone would dare attack their home. The Collector High Command's response crackled through the communication systems. "You dare to challenge us? We created the greatest warriors in the galaxy." "No," Reed replied, his voice broadcasting to every ship in both fleets. "You stole them, and now they're coming to collect their debt." The battle began with a flash of quantum weapons fire. The Collectors launched their remaining hybrid soldiers, expecting their neural-controlled troops to turn the tide. Instead, they watched in horror as their perfect warriors turned against them, their control systems completely overridden by Earth's improved technology. Hayes led the first boarding party onto the largest defensive platform. Her team, a mix of human warriors and allied species, moved with precision born from months of secret training. The Collector's guards fell before their combined might. "Central control hub secured," she reported. "Uploading the virus now." Dr. Webb's creation, a combination of human programming and alien quantum code, raced through the Collector's networks. Defense systems crashed. Shield generators failed. Communication arrays went dark. Stone watched from the Nemesis as the Collector's carefully built empire began to crumble. "Launch the second wave," he ordered. Earth's smaller ships, piloted by the best fighter pilots humanity had to offer, streaked toward the planet's surface. They carried teams of warriors from every species the Collectors had enslaved, all eager for revenge. The Collector High Commander made its last stand in the capital city's central tower. Stone led the assault himself, fighting alongside the metallic-skinned warrior who had first reached out to him in the arena. "You primitives," the High Commander spat as they cornered it in its command center. "We were making the galaxy stronger." "Strength isn't about genetics," Stone replied, watching as Hayes and Wells secured the room. "It's about heart, about fighting for what's right. Something you never understood." The High Commander's last act was to trigger the self-destruct sequence for all breeding facilities across their empire. But Earth's engineers had anticipated this. Dr. Webb's countermeasures, already uploaded through the captured network, saved thousands of imprisoned warriors and genetic samples. All sectors secured. Reed's voice came through clear on all channels. "The Collector fleet has surrendered. Their ground forces are laying down arms." Stone stood at the huge window of the High Command Center, watching the sun rise over the Collector capital. Around him, warriors from across the galaxy, humans fighting alongside beings they had only met months ago, secured humanity's greatest victory. "What happens now?" asked the metallic-skinned warrior, whose name translated to Deep Strike. "Now," Stone said, "we'd free everyone they ever stole from. We destroy their genetic labs. We make sure this never happens again." The liberation took weeks. Every prison, every breeding facility, every secret laboratory was opened. Warriors thought lost forever were reunited with their people. Species that had been enemies under Collector rule found common ground in their shared freedom. Earth's fleet remained as peacekeepers, helping to dismantle the last remnants of the Collector's power. The stolen warriors who had become humanity's allies now became their friends, their partners in building something new from the ashes of empire. The Collectors had wanted to create the perfect warriors. Instead, they had forged the perfect alliance, one built on courage, resistance, and the unbreakable spirit of freedom. 5 years after the fall of the Collectors, Major Jack Stone stood on the observation deck of Earth's new galactic embassy. Below him stretched the sprawling capital of the United Species Alliance, built on the ruins of the Collector's former seat of power. The city had been transformed from a monument to oppression into a symbol of cooperation. "The last breeding facility has been converted," Hayes reported, joining him at the window. She now served as Earth's chief security coordinator for the Alliance. Dr. Webb's team turned it into a medical research center. "They're using the Collector's technology to heal instead of harm." Stone nodded, watching ships from dozens of worlds move through the busy skylanes. The Collector's former empire had become something entirely different, a federation of free species working together. Earth, once considered a primitive backwater, now stood as a respected leader in this new order. "Commander Reed's report just came in," Wells added, walking up with a data tablet. After the war, he had taken charge of the Joint Fleet patrols. "The outer rim is secure. No sign of any surviving Collector strongholds." The victory had changed everything. Earth's demonstration of both military prowess and ethical leadership had earned them a unique position in galactic society. They were seen not just as warriors, but as protectors, a species that fought for freedom rather than conquest. In the Great Hall below, Stone could see representatives from all 17 formerly enslaved species meeting with Earth's diplomats. The metallic-skinned warriors had become Earth's closest allies, their natural engineering skills combining perfectly with human innovation. The crystalline beings shared their advanced mathematical knowledge, revolutionizing space travel. "Did you ever think," Hayes asked, "when we first boarded their ship as prisoners, that it would end like this?" Stone thought back to those first dark days in the arena. "Not like this exactly, but I knew humanity wouldn't stay caged for long." The arena itself had been transformed. Where once warriors fought to survive, now they trained to protect. The former gladiatorial complex had become the Alliance's premier military academy, where species from across the galaxy learned to work together. Stone's comm unit buzzed, a message from Deep Strike, his old arena ally. The metallic-skinned warrior was leading an expedition to help another newly discovered species join the Alliance. They had found more of the Collector's victims, hidden on distant worlds, and the work of liberation continued. "The hybrid soldiers are doing well," Wells reported, checking another file. Dr. Webb's treatments helped them develop true free will. Most of them chose to join the Alliance Defense Force. It was one of their greatest victories. Turning the collectors would-be slave army into free individuals who chose to protect others. Many served alongside human crews, their enhanced abilities now used for the right causes. "There's a new batch of cadets arriving tomorrow," Hayes said. "They want to hear the story again, about Earth's warriors and the fall of the collectors." Stone smiled. The story had become legend across the galaxy, not because of the victory itself, but because of what came after. Earth could have used the collectors' technology to build its own empire. Instead, they had chosen to build bridges. "Tell them the truth," Stone said. "Tell them we never planned to just return home. We planned to make the galaxy a better place than we found it." As the sun set over the capital, Stone thought about all the warriors who had fought beside him. Some had returned to their homeworlds. Others, like him, had stayed to build something new. The best warriors never returned because they had found a greater purpose: protecting the freedom of every species in the galaxy. The collectors had tried to create the perfect warriors through genetic engineering and forced breeding. But they had failed to understand what Earth had known all along. True strength comes from the heart, from fighting for what's right, and from standing together against tyranny. That was humanity's greatest weapon. That was Earth's true legacy.